Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning about the MiCorps Aquatic Invasive Species Detection Blitz. We'll wait a second to let people get settled in. And in the meantime, a few little instructions. If you have any questions today, please use the chat button on your screen. You should see that at the bottom of the screen. You can just click chat and you can type your questions in there. This webinar is being recorded, and so we'll post this recording in a day or two up on the MiCorps website on the same page as all the information of this detection blitz. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Jo Latimore. I know many of you. I'm a faculty member at the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife at MSU and also the director of the MiCorps program. And I'm going to be presenting this webinar today that was put together with help from our colleague, Chelsea Cooper. Chelsea, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chelsea Cooper. I handle all of the social media for MiCorps. So I'm the person behind the screen who creates all of the content for our Facebook and Instagram pages. Just sharing info about the program and our volunteers and partners in a fun way. So follow us on those if you haven't already. And if you've joined us in this meeting today, I guarantee that you will like our content. So thank you for joining us, and we're excited for year 2 of the Blitz.
Thanks, Chelsea. So our goal for today is just to spend a few minutes giving you an overview of the AIS detection blitz, what our goals are, and how you can participate. And we hope you'll find that it's going to be really easy to participate in this. That's our goal. It's fun, it's easy, and anyone can participate from anywhere in Michigan. So let's get started. So we gave our introductions, and now I'll talk a little bit about what MiCorps is. MiCorps is short for the Michigan Clean Water Corps, and that's the statewide volunteer lake and stream monitoring program that exists in Michigan and has been in existence in Michigan for over 50 years. Thousands of people across Michigan have volunteered through the years to collect data about the health of our waters, including our inland lakes and our streams and rivers. And there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved. Stream monitoring programs, monitoring the quality of your lake, looking at water quality, looking at the invertebrates in your lake, in your stream, looking at plants that live in your lake. There's a lot of different options for you. And as I mentioned, this has been going on for decades in Michigan, but the AIS detection blitz is pretty new. We just started it last year as a addition program to the MiCorps program and a way for people to get a taste of what it's like to do volunteer monitoring in Michigan. And maybe if you have fun with this, you'll be interested in joining some of our other programs down the road. So our goal for the Aquatic Invasive Species Blitz is to get as many people as possible across Michigan looking for and reporting invasive species that they find in our lakes or our rivers. And you can report anything, plants, animals, all of them count. And it's called a blitz because it's in a really short time period. So we're going to blitz out our reports over the course of just a couple of weeks. And it's also really important that we get a lot of people participating because invasive species can be pretty sneaky and we need a lot of eyes and ears out looking for them and reporting them. Even if you're not entirely sure of what you're looking at, using this blitz process, you'll be able to get your observations confirmed. So a BioBlitz in general is a community effort to document as many species as possible in a specific area within a set time frame. And you may have heard of parks or other natural areas doing BioBlitzes in an attempt to document as many plants and animals as we can in a really short period of time, sometimes just in the course of a few hours. It's a community science program where volunteers record and identify species together. It's really short and intensive, maybe lasting a few days or a week or two, and providing a biodiversity snapshot, a moment in time of where these different species are found in an area. Another exciting thing about BioBlitzes is that they're open to all. You can be a beginner and not really know your milfoil from your Phragmites. That's okay, because we will help you identify things. And that's the beauty of how our AIS detection blitz is set up. Everyone can help. We make it easy for you to collect data. Your observations in the form of photos can be logged in using apps like iNaturalist, which we'll show you in a minute. And it supports conservation. The data that you'll be collecting will help scientists and resource managers protect our local ecosystems. And in this case, and particularly interested to people who are interested in managing invasive species. So the MiCorps AIS detection blitz is focused on aquatic invasive species, or AIS. And these are non-native organisms that disrupt our local ecosystems. And you might be familiar with some of our common invasive species like zebra mussels, like those shown on the screen, or Eurasian watermilfoil and hydrilla, a couple of problematic invasive plants that we find in our lakes. And because we know that aquatic invasive species reduce biodiversity, they harm ecosystems, they can impact our recreation and our local economy, it's really important that we document and detect these invasive species. And the earlier, the better is important. So in this case, we're interested in people reporting new instances of invasive species, but also even if there's an invasive species that you know has been in a water body for a long time, it may not be in our databases. So it would be very helpful for you to report those as well. The MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz is unique because it's a special community event. It's not part of our standard MiCorps monitoring that requires you to sign up in advance and get training and potentially even pay enrollment fees. This program is totally free, it's flexible and accessible. You don't have to have any experience or training. And we want it to be fun and exciting for you to be part of this. And as a result, that's why we've chosen to partner with iNaturalist to offer this program, because it allows for quick, community-supported identification of the species you find. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So how to participate? You'll need to use the iNaturalist application. And that's a free application. You can access it on your computer, and you can download it for free on both Apple and Android phones. Once you've downloaded iNaturalist and created a profile for yourself, if you don't already have one, all you need to do is join the 2026 MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz project. And you can do that on mobile or on your desktop website to join the project. And you can join anytime. You can join as soon as you're done watching this webinar. You don't have to wait until the dates of the Blitz, which just starts at the end of June. Once you have your application loaded and you've joined our project, you're ready to go. All you'll need to do then is visit Michigan water bodies during the Blitz period to look for AIS. You're welcome to check familiar locations, maybe right at your home or your cottage, or maybe a place you've never been before. Both approaches are really helpful. And you should look along shorelines and docks, boat launches, and shallow areas for these different species. Once you find something you suspect is invasive, you need to snap clear photos of suspected invasive species. The clearer the photos, the better. And you can take multiple photos of the species that you find. Then you upload those observations to help our experts track aquatic invasive species across Michigan. So what happens to your observations once you report them? The collected data will form a statewide aquatic invasive species map that you'll be able to see on our project page. And this map helps track the spread of invasive species, identifies any new invasions, and also shows hotspots, areas where there's a lot of invasive species present. And this really helps resource managers and scientists, everything from the local lake association and watershed group, all the way up to state, tribal, and federal organizations that are managing invasive species. It's very helpful to have this data. And it's not always reported, especially in places that have a lot of invasive species or they've been there a long time and people think, oh, somebody must already know about this invasion. Well, that might not be the case. So reporting it through the BioBlitz can always make a difference. In the end, this helps build stronger and healthier Michigan aquatic ecosystems because that community-driven data collected by you helps directly support conservation. So in summary, the MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz is a statewide community effort to document aquatic invasive species using iNaturalist, helping to map their distribution and protect Michigan's aquatic ecosystems through early detection. We've put together a quick video to show you how to participate, and you'll actually see some volunteers in action to give you a sense of how this process will work and to show you how simple it can be. We will have, as I mentioned before, the recording of this entire webinar on our website, but you can also find this quick video as a reference on our page as well. So let's watch the video.
Hello from MiCorps, the Michigan Clean Water Corps, a statewide program supporting volunteer water quality monitoring in our lakes and streams. Every year in late June and early July, MiCorps hosts the annual MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz, a statewide BioBlitz where volunteers use the free iNaturalist app to document possible aquatic invasive species. By sharing your observations, you'll help us track where these species appear and give experts a clearer view of their spread across Michigan. Whether you're near a lake, river, or wetland, anywhere in Michigan, every submission counts. In this short video, we'll show you how to capture clear, detailed shots so the iNaturalist community can easily confirm exactly what you found. Taking pictures from far away or from above the water surface makes identifying organisms tricky. Instead, if it's safe and practical, gently remove the organism from the water and tap your screen to focus clearly on the subject. Show leaves, stems, or any distinct markings your subject may have. Close-up shots of special traits give people on iNaturalist and our team of experts a better chance of identifying what you found. If your find is small, place it on your open hand or another familiar object for scale. Just keep the shot focused and clear, so others can easily determine size and detail. This quick step makes your observation even easier to identify. If you're unsure if it's invasive, especially for aquatic animals, always carefully place the organism back exactly where and how you found it. Proper handling protects our native wildlife. When uploading your observation, always make sure your exact location is marked. The app usually does this automatically, but double check to confirm or adjust it. Accurate locations are essential for tracking where invasive species are turning up. Once you've joined the MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz project, you're all set. Any observations you upload during the event dates will automatically be included. There's no need to manually add them to the project. Just focus on snapping photos and uploading them as you go. Clear, focused photos, accurate locations, and making sure you have joined the project are key steps for making sure your observations count. Thanks for joining MiCorps for the AIS Detection Blitz and helping to monitor Michigan's waters. For more info, visit micorps.net and join our project on iNaturalist.
All right, many thanks to Chelsea for putting that video together on how to take good photos. Now, you might notice, especially if you're familiar with iNaturalist, that when you join and look at the program on your desktop computer versus on mobile, it's going to look different. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see what the mobile app looks like, and it's pretty plain. There's not a lot of graphics and so forth, but it will say 2026 MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz on the top of the screen. And once the event starts on June 29th, you'll start to see numbers add up here for the number of observations, the number of species found, and the number of people that are participating. If you go to your website, you'll see this banner with the photos and a lot more information, but you're still in the right spot as long as it says 2026 MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz. Now we find that using the mobile app is the easiest way to do it, because then you can be just like in the video and take photos right on your phone, upload them on the iNaturalist app right there in the moment, and it works very easily. However, if you choose not to do that, you can upload photos later using your desktop computer. Now, one thing that's interesting to note, and we've gotten questions about this before, is what if I'm out in the field and I see an invasive species and I take a photo, but I'm in an area without any cell service? That's okay. You can still take photos at the site and upload them later when you return to service. Just be sure to manually add the correct location before submitting your observation. Otherwise, it may think that all of your aquatic invasive species were in your house. So be sure to check those location information when you're submitting it. There's a lot of resources and support that is out there for you when you're participating in the Blitz. First of all, of course, is our website, the Blitz landing page. You'll be able to find frequently asked questions, outreach and promotional materials if you want to share this program with others, which we certainly hope you will, and also helpful tips to make your participation easy. And you can find that at www.micorps.net/events/AIS Blitz. If you have questions about identification and you're not sure if you found an invasive species or you're unconfident of what you found, iNaturalist does help and often will suggest identifications for you based on the photos. So that can be helpful. But the other thing that's really exciting about iNaturalist is that even if you don't know what it is, if all you're confident in saying is perhaps it's a plant, all you have to do is say, this is a plant. And then other users in the iNaturalist community from in Michigan and even beyond will see your observations on iNaturalist and they will add identification information to it. So our MiCorps team of experts will be looking at your observations and verifying identifications, but also any other iNaturalist user can go in, including you, and add identifications to things that you know for sure from those photos that you see. So that's a really exciting aspect of iNaturalist, that there's no need to know exactly what you're looking at before you submit an observation. And remember, if you have questions at any time, you can reach out to us at micorps@msu.edu, shoot us an email, and we will answer your questions promptly. Now, as I mentioned before, it would be great if organizations that you're a part of wanted to join in sharing the Blitz with others. Please share it on social media, add it to a newsletter of your organization, your lake association, your conservation district, other organizations. Include it in your events calendar. We've been working hard to share the information and promote the Blitz on our social media and our communication networks, but your networks are much broader than ours are, and together we can get a lot of people participating. You could also host a collection day. Take a group of friends or members of your organization to a local shoreline, a boat launch, a stream access site, or other place maybe where you know there may be some aquatic invasive species, and submit your observations together. And you can represent your community and help ensure that your lake, river, watershed, or even your county overall is included in our statewide map of observations. That's it. That's how simple it is to participate. So at this time, we can take your questions. As we mentioned before, you can post your questions in the chat and we will answer them for you as best we can. We're really excited to have all of you here. So please use the chat to ask questions, and I will move us to this final thank you slide that includes the dates. Again, the dates for the event are June 29th to July 12th. This will overlap with Aquatic Invasive Species Awareness Week in Michigan. There's going to be a lot of invasive species information, news, stories, activities, events going on across Michigan related to invasive species awareness, and we're going to be part of that. The Blitz, again, goes from June 29th to July 12th. So Chelsea, are we seeing any questions in the chat at this time?
We do not have any yet, but the chat is open. Even if it's just a small question, go ahead and put it in the chat. But maybe that's a good sign that we were very clear.
That we did a good job. Well, in the meantime, we can talk a little bit about last year's Blitz. Chelsea, do you remember some of the statistics from last year, which was our first year doing this?
Yeah, so we had about 100 and around 105 people that participated. We had over 1,000 submissions, and then 110 of those were verified AIS species. So that means people were comfortable just snapping whatever they saw, whether they knew if it was invasive or not, and uploading that. And so we had a lot of things to sift through, but iNaturalist makes it very easy because there's a lot of people on there who are very interested in aquatic plants or certain specific niches that they're interested in. So there's people on there who really like to identify things. And so those people help us. And then people on our team, such as Joe and Eric and myself, go through and we help identify things. So anything that you see that you think maybe is maybe a little suspicious or you just have no idea at all, just upload it and see what happens. It could be great data.
Absolutely. And I do see some questions coming in from Inara, and they asked about how many people participated. And they also asked, were most counties represented last year, or did we have a lot of counties that didn't have any observations?
I would say just off the top of my head, Otsego County was a little underrepresented in general. They don't really have a lot of AIS detections through even going back through before COVID. So that county is pretty underrepresented. And I would say maybe mid UP. Some of the coastal areas are pretty good hotspots on like along the Great Lakes and some of the big lakes, but the inland UP is a little underrepresented.
All right, good to know. So if you're in the central part of the state, we could really use your help to get more observations into iNaturalist. Were there any surprises last year? Any unexpected findings that you remember, Chelsea?
Um, let's see. I think the most observed species was Eurasian watermilfoil, which makes sense. And then I think the second
Sure.
one was Phragmites.
Mhm.
Nothing really stands out off the top of my head, though. Basically, what a lot of the things that you'd expect.
Yeah, I think that was true. I think one of the things that was really exciting to see was documentation of species like zebra mussels and Eurasian milfoil, especially in lower Michigan, that maybe don't get quite as much attention these days because they're fairly well known and well established, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean the data aren't useful. They're very useful, and so we really encourage folks to collect data and submit observations. Maybe you have a stand of Phragmites or purple loosestrife in a wetland near your house and it's been there for years. We might not know about it, and so having that in a database that shows that it's still there in 2026 is really, really valuable. So we hope that people will look for new things, but also document the quote unquote old things that they already know about. Questions are coming in the Q&A, which is great. Linda asked, will we receive updates on invasive species eradication efforts? Well, that's a really good question, Linda. This program is focused on collecting data on where they exist. Eradication is a different part of the AIS management puzzle. And if you have questions about specific eradication efforts in a certain part of the state, we'd be happy to direct you towards information of what we are aware of that's going on, because there is a lot of work. One of the main organizations that do that work across Michigan are our Cooperative Invasive Species Management Areas, or CISMAs for short, CISMA. Every county in Michigan is covered by a CISMA that usually covers multiple counties in a region, and they are your go-to local source for questions and help with invasive species eradication. Also in the aquatic world, of course, many lake associations and watershed groups are also involved in those efforts. Yes, the slides will be part of the recorded webinar and available for you on the website. That was a question that came in as well. Oh, Michael has a really interesting question. He asked, what degree of accuracy can you expect from community data collection? Well, here at MiCorps, we're really big fans of community data collection. And we look for ways for the public to collect data that are reliable and verifiable and accurate. And so even when we're doing water quality testing, we make sure we provide our volunteers with all the tools they need to ensure that the samples they're collecting are representative, and that the data analysis is done properly. And if we find something that's questionable, we reject it from our database. For the Blitz, we take the same high standards, and iNaturalist allows us to do that because we're able to see all of the photos and all of the information that comes in. We're going to review it internally. The iNaturalist community will review it. And if there's anything particularly questionable, we may choose to remove it from the program. For example, if there's just really poor photos or a location that's clearly on land and not in the water, things like that, that may be a mistake or, inadvertent mistake by a user, we can remove that. So there will be expert review of all of the data that comes in. So that's how we ensure the quality of that data. So thank you for answering that question. Does the Blitz include inland lakes as well as rivers and streams? Absolutely. Any aquatic habitat, wetlands, ponds, little lakes, big lakes, rivers, streams, creeks, springs, any of that. If you are near water and see something you think might be an invasive species, we encourage you to report it in during the Blitz. Another question, will the data be made public at the end of the event for organizations to use? Absolutely. All iNaturalist data are public right away. And you can go into iNaturalist and search any area of Michigan that you're interested in, and you will be able to see observations. You will be able to look at the MiCorps AIS Detection Blitz project and see the data that were part of that Blitz. You can also look at all data collected by anybody on iNaturalist. And if you have specific questions and want some help kind of knowing how to find that data, please reach out to us. Again, our email address is micor@msu.edu, and we can help you find that data. But yes, it's entirely public from the beginning to the end into the future. Chelsea, here's a question that maybe I'll let you answer a question. Let me take a break a little bit. Richard asks, we have had zebra mussels for years. Should I report them?
I would say definitely yes. And the year is very useful for people who are doing invasive species management. So the more recent data that they have, the better. So even if they have been there for years, it's still great to upload them to the 2026 AIS Detection Blitz. And then even if you participate next year, it's great to upload, even if it's the same patch that you found last year, it's great to upload the date so that they have the current status of that patch of invasives.
Yeah, I agree. It's fine to report the same over and over again. It's just like we collect water quality data in other parts of MiCorps. We sample over the long term and we resample every year to look for changes over time. So yes, we encourage you to report things that have been there a long time. Another good question for you, Chelsea, has come in. This is from Autumn. Will that video be able to share, or do you have specific content or a media kit you would like us to share info from?
So on our AIS Detection Blitz landing page, which if you just go to the MiCorps website and up at the top you click events, you'll see it right there. The landing page has all of our partner kit, which is all of our graphics and our ready-to-use social media stuff just for quick sharing. And also a link to the YouTube video is on that page as well.
Yeah, Chelsea did a great job putting together a media kit of resources for organizations to share. So you should be able to find everything you need right there. Another question from Richard. We have identified 4 invasive aquatic plants and are actively conducting treatment efforts via a licensed applicator. Should I report this anyway? We've been treating for more than 3 years. Chelsea, what do you think about that one?
So I would say yes, because you observe the species there that this year currently, and even if they're being treated, it doesn't always mean that they're going to be eradicated. And so it's good to just have that data that they were there at this time.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had questions from outside this webinar from another lake association that knows they have invasive plants that they're they're actively managing. And she noted that one of the challenges she might run into is that it might be hard to get a photo of those plants if they've already been sprayed this year, for example. And we fully recognize that. And she asked if she could report them without a photo. Unfortunately, we discourage reports without photos because there's no way to know if the identification is accurate if you don't include photos. So if you can get a photo, please report it, regardless of whether you're managing it actively or not. All right. Here's another question. I look forward to re-reviewing this video. Do you have target species for this year? Are there certain species you want us to particularly be looking for? Chelsea, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think I would say no. We're basically looking for whatever you can access within your area or your region or anywhere that you know species, invasive species are existing and possibly multiplying. I know that this project came about in search or in a response maybe to the hydrilla that was found in southern Michigan. So, I wouldn't say we have a specific one that we're looking for, just in general aquatic invasive species wherever they're popping up.
I would agree with you on that too, Chelsea. We'll take observations of anything you can find: mussels, crayfish, aquatic plants, algae. And you know what? Again, if you're not sure if it's invasive or not, upload it to iNaturalist, and we'll figure it out for you. So, you can go out and take photos of anything you want, as long as you're signed up for the 2026 MiCorps AIS detection blitz. Anything you record will be included in our program and our project, and we'll go through and check those photos and verify it for you. So, and I think one final thing that I want to encourage people to do is, if this interests you at all, go to iNaturalist today and sign up. Once you're signed up, you'll get occasional updates from us about the project leading up to June 29th. And then once it's live, anything that you record between June 29th and July 12th will be automatically added to our project. And we want that. The more the merrier. And so you don't have to wait to June 29th to sign up, or someday when you're out in the field. Go ahead and do it today, and you'll be part of the project. And then that way, anything you observe will be included. You'll also get reminders occasionally that the blitz is going on and it's time for you to record observations. I really enjoyed during the blitz last year that we could go in every day and see all the new observations that people put in. And you can do that too as a participant. You can go in and see what other people are reporting, and add variations, ask questions, make comments, all of that. You can see the map of observations evolving over time, watch the numbers go up. It's really fun. So we get excited about it. We hope you get excited about being part of it too.
Yeah. We have is the Seek by iNaturalist app involved in any way? So Seek, I believe, is owned by the same company as iNaturalist, so it is related. But if you upload your observations to Seek, they will not be added to the iNaturalist project.
That's right. Great question. And, much of the machine learning, the technology that goes into Seek is also built into iNaturalist. So as I mentioned early on in the webinar, if you upload a photo into iNaturalist, there's a question that pops up on the screen. It's something like, what am I looking at, or what is it? And if you click that, iNaturalist will suggest identifications for you. They might not always be right. I'll put in that disclaimer right now, especially with aquatic plants. It sometimes gets it wrong, but if you feel like iNaturalist is identifying it correctly, you can select that, and we'll still look at it with our human eyes and verify that identification for you. So yes, that's true. Seek and iNaturalist are organized by the same organization. However, you want to upload your observations into iNaturalist for this application and this project. A question here, and Chelsea, I'm not sure about this. I see a question from Sylvia saying iNaturalist or iNat Classic.
I believe it would just be iNaturalist. I have not come across iNaturalist Classic or any other variations of iNaturalist.
Yeah, just go straight to iNaturalist.org, and we have the link for you to join right on the Blitz website, which I put in the chat. Yeah, I see there's one more question here. I am looking at plankton on a tall ship with icy on the Detroit River. How cool. Are invasive plankton relevant to you as well? They sure are. Yes, not many of us have the ability to go out on a tall ship and collect out in the middle of the Great Lakes, but since you can, we would love to have your observations added. Thanks for that question. We've got some clarification on the iNat Classic in the Q&A. Thank you for that. And it reads, you can start on Seek and upload straight to iNat from the Seek app, but you do have to do that after every observation before you back out of the result. iNat and iNat Classic are both applicable, just different phone app versions of the same web program.
Okay.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll wait a moment for if you have any other questions. The Q&A and the chat are still open. But if not, we want to thank you again for your interest. Again, this webinar is recorded. Give us a couple days to edit it and we'll get it up on the Blitz webpage. And again, if you have any questions in follow-up, please reach out to us at micorps@msu.edu and we will respond to you promptly. All right, seeing no other questions, thanks again for joining us. We hope to see you on iNaturalist starting June 29th. Thanks, everybody.